Just want to say I really like no, nope, can't do it. Hey guys, welcome to the review show. My name's Austin. The Apprentice stars Sebastian Stan. The story of how a young Donald Trump started his real estate business in 1970s and 80s New York with the helping hand of infamous lawyer Roy Cohen. Start off first, I'm just here to talk about a movie, and I know how very sensitive people are when it comes to their politics. So I'm just here to talk about the movie. Just have to address that. So that being said, I do actually like this movie. I thought this was a very interesting take on a story that you could probably take with a grain of salt. There was a disclaimer at the beginning of the film, I believe. I didn't get a chance to read it all, but usually you don't see text at the beginning of the film saying like such something about characters. With that being said, I did like this movie. I thought Sebastian Stan did a great job playing as Donald Trump. He even he got he put on some weight for the role too, from the looks of it. And if he got swapped with Donald Trump, I would believe him. I would believe that would be Donald Trump because he got like the impersonation and and his sense of style right down. Costume designs, the atmosphere, the sets for this movie looks amazing. It did really feel like you were in the 70s and the 80s. From the looks and the sets of everything, they did a really good job getting you immersed into what's about to be told. So this movie follows Donald Trump in his early years as a real estate, like you see this really rundown like motel or like a apartment complex type of deal. See him basically grow from that and making the Trump Tower, which becoming like one of the most expensive hotels in history, basically, for New York. They do a really good job at showing of how corrupt a government can be. You do see how Trump meets his lawyer Roy Cohen, who basically blackmails his way to victory. You do see this progression of Trump being somewhat just like a normal asshole type of deal. People are gonna get mad at me. That's how he is in the movie. All right, I don't blame me. They show Donald Trump at the very beginning point of his career, and they set the highest point of his career, and they show how he gets there and what might have happened behind the scenes. Got to use my words very carefully. People will be very upset. One thing to say straight out of the bat: this is definitely not for huge Trump fans. If you're a huge Trump fan, most likely you're not going to like this movie. Just gonna say that this movie dives into a lot of nasty stuff. Like at the beginning of the film, he was dealing with getting the FBI off his back, so that's how he met Roy Cohen, and that's how they started up as their bonding career, and they become really good friends that eventually do turn against each other at some point. So the movie does a really good job at least showing Trump had some form of fun side to him, I guess, and next also showing the very dark side of him as well. I do like that the movie doesn't shy away from dark heavy stuff, but it also doesn't try to per se please one side of the argument of Trump being a complete ass or Trump being this saint. It does show how imperfect anyone is. I do like the movie on that aspect, but it does also kind of somewhat start dragging in the last 30 minutes of the film, because there's also there's a couple subplots that just kind of just get dropped a little bit. There's a subplot with New York and New York practically being broke, and so the poor people, that's a bad way to put it. So the people that are struggling to basically live, they're protesting against all this, and there's outrage whenever Trump wins to be able to build Trump Tower and all that. So there was a lot of interesting stuff that they could have kept going, but all that kind of just disappears, and it really starts focusing on Trump and Trump Tower and his big success, which is fine. But you brought up this subplot that could have been interesting. Maybe that's the first stint that it went in real life. I have no idea. But for a movie standpoint, that's something that just I noticed, and that kind of just went away pretty quickly. But overall, I think the movie is really good, and I think if you're willing to try something, I can see this movie not being for everyone, and that's the best way I could put it. I'm gonna give The Apprentice a B minus. A very interesting story to tell, especially coming out the year of election. Definitely gonna have a lot of upset people about this movie. Apparently, Trump, I guess, didn't want this movie out or something. I have no idea. Don't care. I wanted to go see a movie, and it was really good. So, but I can see that this might not be for everyone, especially if you're a hardcore Trump fan. If you're a hardcore Trump fan, there's definitely going to be things in this movie that you're not going to like and say that's not true. So take a lot of things with a grain of salt when if you decide to go out and see this movie. So my name's Austin Crawford, and I approve this review. Bye, guys.